Okay, so you bought a MacBook, you bought an Apple ecosystem. Well, what next? Let's find out. And while we're finding out, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. So a couple of weeks ago, we made a video talking about the best Apple ecosystem going into 2023. Today, I want to take that ecosystem, as you can see, all here, and I want to build the ultimate desk setup for that ecosystem. So here's the MacBook Pro 14, here's the iPad, here's the iPhone, all of the things that I use on a daily basis. I want to show you how to get the most out of it. One of the key things that I've tried to do this year is to get stuff off of my desk. If you've seen previous desk videos here on the channel, you know that I had a Windows computer here, I've had day job stuff over here, I've had all sorts of stuff built on this desk. Well, this year, and despite all the cables that I need right now to show you what I'm talking about, I've tried to get as much off of here as possible. Okay, I forgot I left on all the crappy non-video lights up there, so hopefully it wasn't too bad throughout the earlier parts of the video. But what I want to start today, let's start from the top and work our way down. And so obviously the first up here is I want to talk about the monitor. You've seen a few monitors here over the years, but now we're using the Apple Studio Display, which is a diagonally 27-inch monitor. It's got a lot of really cool tech built into it. And the best part about this is it's not only for Apple stuff. We will show you how to use this with my day job, which has a Windows computer. What I really like about this is a few-fold. It's got really great speakers built into it. And I mean, speakers, you still see that I have speakers, and we will talk more about audio stuff here in just a little bit, but the speakers built into the display are actually really good on their own. If you didn't want to spend the money on speakers after this, because this is kind of an expensive monitor, you'd be okay because the speakers are actually pretty good. It's got really good microphones built into it, even though, you know, again, we're not necessarily using that for YouTube videos, but if you're using this as a working from home monitor, that's what I like. What I like about the Studio Display is the all-in-one nature of it. You don't need anything else when you've bought this. Even for camera, it's got a really great camera built into it. It's not the best in refresh rate, it's not the best in resolution, and it's not the best for like pixel density. But when you talk about a holistic package, when you don't want to spend any more money after spending a lot of money, the Studio Display works really great. You've got 4 USB-C plugs. There's no other kind of inputs. There's no DisplayPort. There's no HDMI. So you do have to work with Thunderbolt or USB-C, but if you can do that, like I can, it's a wonder to work with. So moving down a little bit more, you'll see my speakers. We're not really going to talk about the speakers too much because I don't really use the speakers too much anymore. I use my AirPods, or I use a gaming headset. And you know what, instead of talking about the speakers, we'll talk about audio right now. So as you heard in that ecosystem video, a lot of times when I'm doing video games, and I do play a lot of World of Warcraft on my MacBook, because it's a MacBook, I will use my AirPods Pro as my audio device. It works really great as a microphone if you're not building out all of this stuff. And the audio quality is really good. But what I like most is, compared to something like these HyperX headphones, when you have to wear this for like 2 or 3 hours on a raiding night, or I don't know, Call of Duty, whatever you play, this can start to squeeze your head over time, or at least styles like this can. One of the reasons I use this, we'll talk about more in a second, is this doesn't do that. But one of the great things about AirPods is because they are wireless earbuds, you never have to worry about that. So if you are trying to spend a lot of time listening to stuff on your computer, these help out really well. But again, over to my HyperX, I don't know the specific model of these. I will leave the specific model like on the video now. These are the most comfortable headphones I've ever used. Now you might be asking yourself, Gary, why do you, the AirPods are so great, why do you have these? Well, viewer, you may not know this about me, but sometimes I forget to charge things. And there's a lot of times where I forget to charge my AirPods. So because of that, I have to default to these. It is just a standard USB-A plug straight into a computer. And one of the things about the MacBook Pro 14 that we have talked about is it doesn't have USB-A, so we will need some way to get USB-A into the computer. That will probably be coming here shortly. But this is fantastic. They're very comfortable. The audio quality is, it's okay. It's not the best, either is the microphone or the headset, but it is comfortable enough that I can wear it, and I have I have a lot of sensitivity to having my head crushed. I don't like it, so these are the ones that I really like. Thanks to today's sponsor, Squarespace, you can create your own very beautiful website. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a professional website, online store, or portfolio. It's easy to claim a domain/URL, create a custom site that matches your style, and bring your ideas to life. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head over to squarespace.com/everydaydad to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Moving down a little bit farther, what's holding up the monitor, now I have the Apple Studio Display with the Vesa mount version, so you can see I can move this around however I want to, up, down, left, right. I can rotate it. I can do all sorts of stuff. I really like Vesa because it gives you this, like you can see right here. You've got less on your desk because you don't have to have a stand in the middle of your desktop to get your screen where you want it. We just have a little arm back over here from a company called Kanto, and it just, Vesa is universal so long as you have a Vesa mount on the back of your monitor. Another one of the frustrating things about the Studio Display is you have to buy the specific version with the Vesa on it. I do really like having Vesa. There's no way that I could ever go back to, I mean, even look at my microphone right now. It may not be Vesa, but it's not on a microphone stand that's like on the floor or on the desk. It's on an arm that I can position wherever I want it. I like having that customizability of my desk because sometimes I want the monitor back. Sometimes if I'm working on something that I need fine detail like thumbnails, I will bring it closer. So it's nice to have that maneuverability. Moving down a little bit lower, we start getting into the MacBook itself. Now I've talked about the stand that I use for my Mac. A lot of the times I keep my Mac in what's called clamshell mode. So I use my MacBook like this all of the time. I never have it as like a second monitor. If you do want to do that and have two monitors going at the same time, there are stands out there that will let you have both open at the same time. I prefer just a single big monitor, so that's why we have it set up like this. And I use this. This is called the Book Arc from a company called 12 Soft. I don't even know if they still make this or not, but I've been talking about this for years. We've got our Gunpla Gundams. You cannot have a legitimate desk of any kind without having some Gunpla, so I would highly recommend maybe doing it. You don't even need tools for like this one. This is entry grade. You can make this without a single tool, and it's been great. Oh, I bent the... Okay, now moving down a little bit farther, we get into the really important part, like the most important part of this whole like desk setup. What makes it all work together? And there's two things that you need to have to kind of set this up the way I have it. One is my AIMOS Switch. I have talked about this in previous videos, but lets me so easily take my mouse and my keyboard and transition them between computers instead of having to unplug, plug it back in. It's just a single button push, and I swap from MacBook to day job computer. So I've got my keyboard. This is a keyboard I made myself. We'll talk more about in a second. And my Logitech MX Master 3. I have their receivers and their USB-A plugs right into the switch, and then into the second part that is the most important part is my OWC Thunderbolt Pro Dock. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is nobody's sponsoring anything from this video. I've bought all of this myself. This desk setup is 100% funded by the everyday dad. Because this OWC Thunderbolt Pro Dock is kind of expensive, and you may not need to get this much oomph for your home dock, but it's got a few key features that I really need. Like we've seen previously, it does have a ton of USB-A, it's got USB-C ports, it's got CF Express and SD card slots, and I don't really ever use those. I still use the SD card slots on my MacBook. But what I really like about this specific dock compared to others is it does work with 10 gigabit Ethernet. Now, one of the reasons that's important to me is I run all of this YouTube stuff off of a server that I built that's in the back of my little back closet over there. And it lets me do all of my video editing without ever keeping anything on my MacBook. As I switch stuff around for this channel and other videos I'm making, it's very easy for me to unplug, plug in another computer, and no matter where I'm at in my house, I have access to all of my files. I have a 10 gigabit switch, plugs into the router, plugs into the Thunderbolt 4 port on the MacBook, and it works perfectly well. Seriously, that has been the best thing I've ever done for this YouTube channel. Like, without a doubt, that is the best. It makes life so much easier. And those two combined together is what gives me the one cable thing that I really care about. So can you see this over here? This single cable is all I deal with when I'm trying to connect a computer to my smart desk, I guess you could call it. I take this Thunderbolt cable and I plug it into my MacBook if I need my Mac, and then into my work computer. It's a single plug. It gives me access to everything. It's instant. I love it so much. And if I'm trying to go from my keyboard to my day job, one plug, one button switch, done. Screen, speakers, headphones, mouse, anything I want is just right there, and it's just it's so good. Let's talk about this mechanical keyboard. One thing I would recommend, you don't have to go, like, if you want to get a cool mechanical keyboard, you don't have to go buy something very expensive. You can just make it yourself. Like, this was, I forget exactly how much this one cost to make. I spray paint it myself. We got keycaps. We put some new switches inside of it. It was a really fun project to do at the house. And at the end of it, you get a really, can you hear that? You probably can't hear that because the microphone's up here, but you get a really great sounding, really amazing feeling keyboard that you did yourself. I like having little projects. I mean, I built my server, I built the keyboard. I like building these rigs. Like, I don't know if you can see this. This is a rig that this overhead camera is a rig that I've affixed to my ceiling because it's just, I like making stuff, and having a keyboard that I made is just more satisfying to me when I'm working on a document or working from home. We already talked about the mouse. It's the MX Master 3. This has been my favorite mouse for like years. It's going to be really hard for anything to beat this. When you're putting all of this stuff on top of your desk, you will need some kind of a desk pad. I have moved over to a neoprene desk pad. I used to use a leather one, but if you're going to get a fake leather desk pad, it does have a shelf life. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of that kind of material. I was using a fake leather one for a while, but now I really like using the neoprene one. It just feels a little cleaner. It feels a little like, not that it's higher quality or that it has a longer lifespan, but I think it's just like, I don't feel as bad if this gets ruined as opposed to like a leather one. So it works for me. And I really recommend having not just a mouse pad, but a desk pad. Really helps with doing anything throughout the day. Also, I'm getting old. I like good chairs, and I like taking care of my wrists and my posture and not getting carpal tunnel, so you absolutely need to get some kind of a wrist rest for your desk. I know that's not the fanciest thing, and when you go to the super minimalistic or the cutting edge desk setups, you won't see something like this, but I recommend it because I don't like hurting at the end of the day. I spend a lot of time working on my computer. I would like to be comfortable and safe at the end of the day. And then the phone. I just talk on the phone and I watch YouTube videos on the phone. I have the benefit of being able to spend a lot of time on this and a lot of funding on this, and that's how I think I have a very good argument in saying that this setup right here is the best Apple ecosystem desk setup that you are going to find in 2023. But what about you? What do you specifically use for your desk setup? Let me know in the comments below. I'm not some kind of super powerful AI that lives in the internet that knows everything. I'm just some dude, so maybe I could find something new. And if you like this video and you want to see what the actual ecosystem is, click here to watch that. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.